So the one that the students have done today is here. And you'll see that I've broken down the sections, and what we have in this column here is the question itself, the number of marks it's worth, and then we have the answer in a third column. What I'm trying to include in each of them is some revisiting of previously learned information, especially when it hasn't been particularly well learned.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to go back, and the first few questions of each test that comes will be a recap on the stuff that wasn't learned very well last time. So
you put those into an Excel file.
This is just it's actually on Google Drive, but it's the same as an Excel spreadsheet. So what I then do is I take that information and I drop it into an Excel spreadsheet. So, and you can see here this is just my Brainscape uploads.
Right.
And there's one there called WMM and Forgetting. And you have to save this as a CSV file. So the first column is the 17 knowledge questions. So I haven't put on here the higher order questions, just the knowledge questions.
Right.
And down here in this column is the answers. So that's actually one column. So all of the answers to those questions are in the second column, and that's it, just two very simple columns. And then what you do is you go to Brainscape, which is www.brainscape.com, and you can register and sign up, which is just via an email address. I've already got one. So there's my email address and password, and you can see here are previous ones that I've done for when I taught A2 and AS psychology of sport, but now I'm teaching A-level psychology. So I have here psychology basics. There's the first assessment test. There's 15 cards in that assessment, but I want to create a new one. Now there's two ways of doing this. I can either go to here and create a deck, give the deck a name, and it gives me a very simple, I'll just put test in. And then it asks me to add some cards, and I get a very simple question in this box, answer in this box.
Okay.
I can have a more complicated ones in an advanced editor where I can put a question in, and then I can actually add further information like images, video files, so on and so forth. But I don't do that, and the reason I don't do it is not that I can't do it. I just want to make something so simple and so quick that the kids have got the access to the key information. So the other option is to import that spreadsheet that I just showed you, or that CSV file.
Yes.
So when you're in Excel, you have to save as a .csv file. And I'm going to import that file, and it asks me which one I want, so I'm going to select it. There it is, number 2, working memory model and forgetting. Open it up, and you can see that it's appeared down here now.
Lovely.
And then I'll just click on import these cards.
So can I just recap at this stage?
Yeah.
You didn't set it up as cards, you just set it up as one column questions, one column answers.
Yep.
But Brainscape is going to turn that into cards.
Yes.
Lovely.
So I'm just putting a deck objective here to understand the basics of the working memory. Ask me to select the file again. There it is. Open it up. Import the cards. And you'll then see the working memory model one here. So number 2, working memory model and forgetting. And what you can do then is you can click on it to edit it. You have some further options here in the settings where you can edit individual cards. You can review the cards that you've done. You can export them to a CSV as well, which is interesting if you want to edit. But if I just click on study, it will essentially open up
so now
those
we're
cards.
seeing what the students will see.
So now we're studying live, if you like.
Yeah.
And the question there is, which was in that first column, says what do we mean by the term encoding? And what the student does here is try and work out the answer to that in their head.
Right.
So encoding refers to how we store information in memory.
Okay.
That's the answer. It's a very simple definition. So I can now reveal the answer. And it says encoding refers to how we store information in memory. I remember that almost word for word, which is a surprise. So what it does now is you've got this colour coding in the bottom for self-assessment. From how well did you remember this? 1, not at all the way up through to 5, perfectly. Now mine was a virtual perfect recognition of that. So I'm going to click on number 5. And what that does is it now stores that information over here as blue, which is perfectly remembered. Give 2 ways, second question, give 2 ways in which information could be encoded, define each. So I'm going to pretend now that I'm not too sure, so I know it's sound, but I can't remember the key term. I know you can restore stuff visually, but I don't know if it's the term visually. Let's have a look. I'm going to reveal the answer. Here they are: acoustically, semantically, procedurally, visually, phonologically, and episodically.
Right.
Now, in a test, I would need to be able to define those. So in this, I want to be able to define each of them in my head. Acoustically refers to storing memory as sound, semantically for the meaning, procedural, and then I can pretend now, I can't remember all of them, so I sort of knew it. Right. So I'm going to say, well, I slightly knew that information. I'm just going to give myself a 2. I'm going to be harsh on myself. And over here now, you can see that that's been coded as orange. Now, what will happen when I've been through all of the cards, the orange one will return far more frequently than the blue one. The blue one will return, but perhaps after I've been through the cards 3 or 4 times, because I said I knew it perfectly.
Let's go through some more. So, I knew that very well. What's the duration of lesson 2 without rehearsal? 30 seconds, I knew that perfectly. What's the capacity of short-term memory? 5 to 9 items. So plus 1, so I knew that. One study that investigated capacity. I think it was called Miller's study, I think did. Or was it Miller's? I'm not really sure. Reveal the answer. It was Miller, but I didn't really know. I was guessing, I think. So I'm going to go for not at all, actually. I didn't know that. What's the duration of the sensory memory store? 1 to 3 seconds.
Right. I've now seen all the cards in WMM and forgetting, so I'm going to continue studying.
Right.
Okay, and what will happen now, it's coded down here as blue, so I knew this one. What do we mean by the term encoding? I still know that really well. Name 1 slave system, so it's telling me where I am in the system here. It's going back through an order until it works out where my understanding is. It's not giving me the blue ones as frequently because obviously I've said that I know those. So it's bringing back, I mean, if I go to blue, what will happen? If I answered every one perfectly, you'll see now that the purple's gone. So the next one I would expect to see is probably yellow.
Right.
So let's have a look very well. Yeah, here comes a yellow one.
Yeah.
Because that was one that I remembered sort of, half and half.
What's happening when you click down here?
It's giving me the option of self-assessing.
Oh, I see, okay.
Because it's come back again, name 1 slave system. Oh yes, now I remember episodic buffer, visuospatial sketchpad, phonological loop. Right. So now I can say, I do know it. I've got it.
These questions you're getting are by and large the ones that you were weak on earlier. That's the way it's
absolutely
working, isn't it?
Yeah, and the weaker I was on it, the more frequently they return.
Brilliant.
And the sooner they return. And obviously the point is to try with each question to turn them all blue to get 100% mastery. It's about building the habits in there with the students of post-test, before we get to retest it, is going back on and just going through until they know it off by heart. So that's brilliant. That's the point of it, really.
And they can download this onto any Android device, basically, can't they?
Yeah. Okay. So if they've got a tablet at home that's Android, they can just use the internet version. Right. And what it looks like on an iPhone is something like this.
Brilliant.
So you can see here 2 WMM and forgetting. So it syncs with the online version. And I just go to start studying. And the same thing happens. What do we mean by the term encoding, which was our first question? Tap here to see the answer. Yes, I know it. It sends it off as blue, and it fills my bar up in the top. And again, I'll just randomly decide where we were on there.
So if they've got a Samsung phone, can they get it on that or not?
Don't think so, but I'm not entirely sure.
Okay.
What they can do is use their internet browser on that Samsung phone to access the internet site.
And do it that way.
But whether there's an app for it or not, I'm not entirely sure.
So they can still do it on their phones.
They can still do it on their phones, but it won't be as packaged as nicely.
Well then.
All right, so this gives you a breakdown. So if you look at the cards, it gives you a list of all of the cards, and it tells you now where your level of understanding is on each of them. So you can see that for what do we mean by the term encoding? I've got 5 out of 5. Give 2 ways information could be encoded. 3. And what I can actually do is star that as a favourite, and it goes into my favourites because it's something that I really struggle with. And that will again increase the frequency of how much it returns.
So you can tell it what to test you on more as well if you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant.
And what it also gives you is a breakdown of your overall mastery within all of the, well, it's actually within all of the subjects that you're currently studying. Cards I've mastered, how many cards are in the libraries in total, and obviously just your information on the front.
Wow.